Well, welcome back to the Grit Zone podcast with your very own Dr. P. We are going to allow some viewers to step in before we start this lovely conversation, this live conversation with two Black powerful women and mothers. And so as soon as I start to see some viewers jump on, I will get this conversation going. But I want to personally thank Cesare and Nikki for joining me tonight on the Grit podcast and for such an amazing conversation. So as soon as I get about 3 or 4 folks, I'm going to get rolling. One ain't enough, but it's good. So I'm going to let that happen. And we're going to get rolling with a great conversation tonight. Please share. If you are looking at this live, share this live with parents, with fathers, with mothers, especially Black mothers, Black parents who you know may have children with disabilities. This is a conversation to help navigate and to support our parents and our mothers, especially our Black mothers. So if you know anyone, share. We would love to allow them to hear this conversation. And I pray that everyone has had a great day. We'll get rolling. I got some viewers rolling, so we're going to get started. And as people jump on, we will make this thing a thing. So welcome once again to the Grit Zone podcast with your very own Dr. P. For some of you all and for the viewers, you know that I've started this podcast for a space for people to share, and specifically for Black people to share their stories, to help heal, to give people back a second wind. I have shared my personal story in this space. I have shared different things that I've struggled with, and hopes that those things would help people to endure, to conquer, to move forward, but also to go to a place of healing for themselves. And so tonight, this topic that we are talking about really highlights the backgrounds and the roles of what it means to be a mother with children who have disability and being a part of that community and what it looks like. And most people will not tie that into a community. Most people won't see that as a community because there's so much stigma that is tied to mental illnesses or disabilities. And so this conversation, our hope is to assist in elevating the voices of Black mothers, but also elevating the voices to allow people to be a part of a community and to get support. And so today, I wanted to have this discussion, not just because I am a mother who mothers a son who has a disability, but because I know there are many other mothers who are out there that also has the same story as me. So instead of just hearing from myself and my story, I put a post out, and either folks were tagged in it or they said, hey, I want to join it, however it was. And I sent out a blast to all of those folks. And these two lovely women responded back to that call of action. And I'm so glad to have them tonight. I have been able to individually talk to the both of them about their own personal stories with being a part of mothers who have children with disabilities. And it has been an exciting conversation to have with the both of them, and also a very healing conversation, even for myself when speaking. Cesare can share with you, when I jumped on with her, I was in tears because of a meltdown that I literally just had with my little one. And when I spoke to Nikki, our conversation was so healing because her son is older. And I was like, oh, thank God I get to hear a story that feels like there's something that comes afterwards. So it has been such a beautiful, beautiful story. So I'm going to pass this off to Cesare and Nikki to introduce themselves, to tell you a little bit about them, and then we're going to jump right into questions. This is how this is going to go. Please feel free to drop comments and respond to what you hear tonight in the chat. Then there will be a space at the end if anyone has questions to feel free, please, to ask those questions. Cesare, let's start with you. Please introduce yourself, and then we'll go to you, Nikki.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. P, for having me. My name is Cesare Adams, not Desiree, Cesare. I am a licensed clinical social worker with a minor in gerontology. I have been in the social work field since I was 20 years old, and now I'm 36. So that just tells you how much I've been in this field. I do have an autistic son that's 6 years old, and it's been a journey. But thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Cesare. Nikki?
Hey y'all, I am Nikki, and I used to be a classroom teacher for 17 years. Ooh, that's a long time. And then decided to jump onto the other side of the spectrum and help teachers create equitable classroom spaces. So I get the opportunity to run around the country and talk to teachers about ways they can listen to young people. I also run an organization called the Black Momish Foundation and Black Momish, where we create a safe space and community for Black moms. And I have a 13-year-old son who has sensory processing disorder and ADHD.
Thank you so much, Nikki. Thank you so much, Cesare, for sharing and introducing yourselves. And so before we jump into this, I just started talking about the episode. Let me tell you why I am credible to have a conversation like this. As many people may know, I am the Senior Vice President of Prevention and Empowerment Services at UCAN, but I am a clinician by trade. And so mental health is at the heart of everything that I do and how I show up in many spaces. I am also privileged to mother a son who has been diagnosed with ADHD, and he is 7 years old. And so this topic is near and dear to me. Because I live it, I breathe it. And some days I'm like, I don't even know how I get to talk about a topic like this because I'm in the thick of so much of it. So tonight, I hope that from the three of us, you are someone from this live can get their second win back, and they can feel rejuvenated and feel like there is a community of folks who are right behind you. So let's jump right into these questions. This question is for the both of you all. I'm going to start with you, Nikki. Can you share your experience as a Black mother caring for a child with a disability?
Oh, sure. I think it's just, it comes from just a myriad, right? Like of responses. When my son was first diagnosed, of course, we told our family, and I have a very old school mother. She was like, he'll outgrow it. And I was like, no, he won't. That's not how it goes. And then just the process of trying to get him diagnosed, and being able to get him an IEP and get the things that he needed when he was in school because he was so young. He was diagnosed when he was 3. And I think just as a Black mom, all of those thoughts go through your head of when he's young. And like, I understand what you're saying. Like when you're in the thick of it, I'm like, what if he gets pulled over by the police? What if he's walking and he doesn't respond fast enough? What if, you know, he elopes and somebody thinks that we're kidnapping him because we're chasing him down the block? Like just all of those things were going through my head when he was a lot younger. We had a definitely a long journey of getting to the place that we are now where he's pretty stable. But just as a Black mom, just all of the secondhand trauma of thinking about the what ifs of him being older, because like you, I didn't have many stories of hope because I was in the middle of it. And that on television, you see the houses, or you see some of the, what's the other doctor, the autistic doctor, the good doctor, I think that's of it. You see all of these white boys who have made it, you know, they're doctors, they're this, they're that, but you don't see any television shows with Black children who are neurodiverse. So you don't even have something to look towards to say, oh, this is what it can be. So for us, it was definitely a journey of just unlearning some of those old school stigmas and just trying to find our way through just advocacy.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Nikki. Cesare?
She said a lot. You said the thick of it. It's just been a journey as far as I mean, just to be transparent, I think I went through like 7 stages of grief, to be honest. I was definitely in denial. And then also, while you going to your peers, you're trying to, be vulnerable and vent. And then hearing like, oh, he'll grow out of it, like you stated, Nikki, he'll grow out of it. Don't worry about it. Oh, he's only 1. Oh, he's only 2. Oh, he'll just, So it's like, do I listen to other people or do I listen to my conscience? So it's kind of like you're literally your own support at that time. And it's literally like fighting through, like, what do you do? So I literally had to find my own support system just so I can move forward, if that makes sense. Because if I would have listened to everybody else who was saying like, oh, he'll grow out of it, don't worry about it, he's only 1, he's only 2, he's only 3, I think I would be stuck, and I think I'd still be in denial. So I would say creating a strong support system really got me through this process. And the stigma, it just really kind of died down because I'm like, I don't care what's going on. I need to find my support. I need to find those people, my people, So like Dr. P said, you put stuff out there on social media. I put that out there on social media, and that's how I built my team. So I didn't listen to everybody else. I listened to myself. So
awesome. Thank you for sharing that. It's so interesting because one of the things that I heard is he's a boy. He's just doing boy stuff, right? Or that's what boys do. That's tied also to a stigma, right? Like, and in that, there was a space and time where I was in denial. And that denial piece was like, oh, he will grow out of it. Maybe this was. So then it gives you this false sense of hope. You're like, okay, so then 3 comes and then 4 comes and you like, wait a minute. This is not happening for me. I think which causes this extra layer sometimes of stress that a lot of people don't know how to express because you're almost on the edge expecting for some change or something to happen because you've taken these many different thoughts and many different views from so many different people. And the stigma that has been designed so long ago from generations before sticks with a lot of people, right? Mental health in the Black community alone is a stigma in itself. If I say it out loud, people will think I'm crazy. They're not going to talk to me. They're going to ostracize me. I'm going to be in more of a press group than I'm already in. And so many people have shunned away from this topic and conversation. So I'm glad that you all have shared your experience, but thank you so much for talking through that. Nikki, I'm going to ask this question to you. How has your journey shaped your perspective on motherhood and disability?
I think for me, it took me a long time to accept the fact and look at my son as not being disabled. I looked at him for his strengths. I'm like, this kid is super smart. He's super empathetic. Like, just leaning into the positives and saying like, you know what, he doesn't think like everybody else, or he doesn't respond to certain external stimuli like everybody else, but neither do I. And neither does this person. And yes, he needs extra supports. And yes, he might need to navigate spaces a little differently. But I think as a mom, I have 2 children. What I gave to my daughter, I couldn't give to my son. My son needed something different. So I think as a mom, it forced me to parent my son the way that he needed to be parented, no matter what other people said around me. And also to look at this diagnosis as something that we called it his superpower. Like, this is your superpower, kid. Like, these are things that you get to do that nobody else gets to do. You get to think about this thing in a way that nobody else gets to think about it. So I think instead of having a deficit mindset as a parent of like, oh, my son can't, oh, he can't, he won't. I was like, yeah, he will. He gets to do this. He gets to do that. So I think as a parent, it just kind of forced me to change my lens a little bit.
I love that you said superpower. I learned that probably like top of this year. And I started to plug that into my conversation with my son. And I said, hey, no, you have superpowers. And that was something, because we're like into Marvel and all of the superpowers and all of the stars. So you're like, wait, what does my superpower do? Right. And helping him understand what that is in a language that he gets, right. And not talking above him or beneath him, but like really meeting him exactly where he is. It was so important. And the response that I got, it caught me off guard, because oftentimes I think all three of us could probably admit sometimes you get caught in a power struggle. And then you're stuck in this power struggle with a kid and you like, how did I get here? And how do I get out of this? Right. And so I love that language, right? That's so important for people to understand. The language and how we meet our children exactly where they are is so important in their journey and also in our journey as mothering. So thank you so much for sharing that, Nikki. For you, Cesare, the question is tell me what a typical day looks like for you as a mother of a child with a disability.
Well, it's a parlay in my house all day, every day. It ain't no dull moment. I mean, anybody who know me would say that. So a typical day in my home, we wake up and I sing the good morning song. Good morning to you. The bird. We dancing the whole when you wake up until you go to sleep. And since my son has sensory issues, he doesn't eat a lot of he don't eat a lot of food at all. So he's stuck to Pediasure. He got his particular foods that he eats. So what I do is I give him an option, even though it's the options that he may not eat. I'll force the ones he don't eat, even though it's a texture issue. And then we'll work his way up to what he do eats. That's the typical morning. And then we just honestly go outside. We go outside. We go in the backyard for a little bit. I give him 15 minutes outside to play. And then come in. He get like 15 minutes of social media. I'm not social media. Kids YouTube and then games. I do talk with his child development doctor, which he give me like little learning games for him to help. However, on a normal day basis, we are mostly outside busy. He's in track and field. He does have some therapy that he does go to Monday through Friday. So I can say he's pretty active when it comes to sports and other therapy services.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, I'll just do this shameless plug because when it comes to like sports, a lot of people don't like putting children or younger kids, especially those who have been diagnosed, right? Like in sports, I've heard a lot of people say, no, I don't trust it. I don't want to do it. I'm a little nervous. That was me at first. And then we navigated into, because I was like, no, we're going to get something that's quiet and not as jumping around. Like, let's find like a piano lesson or something, like something to that extent. And the reality of it is he needed something to exert that energy off, right? And then we learned that we did karate. I probably tried every sport, wrestling, karate, you name it. We probably did it. Basketball, soccer, inside, whatever it was. But we landed at football, and football became his identity for himself, right? So then you love, and it was something he asked for, but it exerted a level of energy out that I couldn't get out at the crib. Like I couldn't say, you jumping off here. Like they would tell us all the time at therapy, do heavy work. That would exert energy. I'm like, how much heavy work could you give a kid? I don't know what else to do. Right before bed, I'd have this kid pushing stuff back and forth. And I'm like, it's not working. But it boosted his confidence. And it was a space that he was able to be himself. And he was like a kid that's all about him. So it had to be about him. And so when he thrived in those spaces, that lit up so much about his confidence. It made him feel so much better. And so I'm just a strong advocate for like sports and things like that, because it really does. It has helped my child. So that was just a shameless plug about sports. But thank you, Cesare, for sharing. Next question this is to the both of you all. And we'll start with you, Nikki. What resources, tools, or strategies have you found most helpful in your daily caregiving?
Man, my son is 13. So we've tried a lot of things because he has sensory issues. Early on, he would put everything in his mouth, including like a blanket that I was like, oh my God, he's about to choke in the middle of the night. He couldn't sleep without it. We had to take it everywhere with us. Like it was just something about sucking on this blanket that would help him be able to sleep. We found these sensory chew toys that one you can hang around his neck, but it got really nasty. And then we found these ones that were shaped like letters. They're on Amazon. They're like sensory chews, sensory fidgets, things that he could carry in his hands, something that he can squeeze. He likes the certain textures. I think it was just learning what worked for him to be able to calm him. And we let him choose like different things. And like you, we went through so many different things, just trying to figure out what works. The book that my husband and I read is The Dysregulated Child. It was a really good book that not only gave you practical things, but it gave the brain science. It gave, like, because my husband is logical. He needed the brain science behind like what was going on. So just I read and consumed as much information as possible on sensory processing disorder, and some strategies. And now that he's older, we let him choose what works for him. So we have calendars up for his chores. My son too was in sports. He did Taekwondo 4 days a week. And he chose it. He loves basketball. He's not that great at it, but it's something that, like you said, it's his identity. It's something that he gets to do. He gets to run around out there. He doesn't want to do it competitively. He just wants to do it for fun. Go ahead, son. Go run around. Do it for fun. Doesn't bother me. Like you, it was just figuring it out when he was younger. I was like, my son has autism. Like, he's not. And the coach was like, he's fine. Like, just let him go out there and run. So I think just finding those different things that work for your child or what you notice that works for them is the best thing. Like reading and consuming as much information as possible, credible information that is possible, and just kind of using those tools and strategies that kind of work for your child. Like not those abrupt changes. We did there's a set of dice that you can turn for different times, and it doesn't make a lot of noise. It just blinks colors because the noise will set him off. So we just ran around and found different things that work for him.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Same question to you, Cesare. What resources, tools, or strategies have you found most helpful in your daily caregiving?
Well, like Miss Nikki said, sensory toys, that's number one for sure. My son's into fidgets. It's some type of tube that stretches. So when he has like, I don't know if he gets overwhelmed or something, he just use it, stretch it all day. Even he takes it to school. So that has helped him calm down a lot. What was recommended for me when I was doing ABA therapy, he has to be on a strict schedule from home to school to everything has to be lined up for him. Because if it goes out of place, it's over with. It's over with. So I learned that he has to have a strict structure. And if I give him 15 minutes to be on the iPad a little bit, I have to keep it that way. It has to be a segment, or I have to, bedtime is at 8. Make sure it's at 8. He's in a tub at 7. Like it has to be the way he needs it when he needs it, or it's like the whole house is going up if it don't. So he's definitely a kid that needs structure, and he needs his fidgety toys, and he needs, even if I throw something out there, like we're gonna go Chuck E. Cheese, I have to basically prep him for it before we go. I can't surprise him because now it's like, oh, you didn't tell me you was going to Chuck E. Cheese. Like it's like I have to literally tell him before because I just messed up his whole day. He had a schedule and I messed it up. So now I gotta, make it up to him. So I just learned scheduling and his fidgety toys. He'll be okay. He be good. He be good.
You know what, Cesare and Nikki, both literally what you all both said. I was sitting here thinking, like, what are some resources and things that I've like literally had to learn over time that has been helpful. And Cesare, I kid you not, I have to explain this to so many people about my son because I'm like, listen, his schedule has to be consistent because if I take him off his schedule, like if we go out of town, I don't tell him until we get to the airport we're leaving somewhere. And I say that because I know that it becomes something that distracts him. It becomes his focal point. He can't, it's like, well, I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to go to Disney World. Well, what about Disney World? And it's like, yep, today is school though. So I want you to look forward to Disney World. But in those spaces, right, I had to learn, no, you probably can't say that right now, right? Or as much as you would love to stay up and kick it with him, the meltdown started about 8:30. So his bedtime got to be around like 8 o'clock. So you got to change some of the motions and how you're doing things. Having visual aids, absolutely. And I didn't even understand that until I and Sincere has been in therapy probably for like, since he was 3.5, 4. And I didn't understand visual things helped him until he started occupational therapy. And occupational therapy, for folks who don't know it, it is a great resource to have to help with children learning how to regulate their emotions, how to be able to calm themselves down, to understand what their feelings are in the moment. These are all things that was extremely supportive to him. But I didn't know, like, he probably needs to have a visual, because me saying, hey, in the mornings, what should you be doing? Well, in the mornings for him, he like, well, I should probably be playing. No, you should go in the bathroom, brush your teeth, wash your face, those type of things, right? And so when we visually put it up on the board for him, I was like, yeah, that works, right? And he's able to see it. And my partner actually was talking to one of her friends, and it just came up in conversation. What about a transition book, like to help him transition in these different spaces? So different tools, different strategies, and you probably will go through hundreds of these and when you stick, you do not maneuver from it. So these things are extremely important to have, the strategies, the tools in your daily routines. Thank y'all so much for sharing that. Nikki, question for you. How do you cope with the emotional challenges that come with raising a child with a disability?
Man, listen, you let me know if you figure it out, because some days I'm good. And then other days, now that we have 13 and it's autism and hormones, it's a whole nother level of just emotional struggle. For me, it is, I try to tell myself, this is not personal. Do not take it personally. Like, there's certain things that I want him to do, or, like, come tell me about your day. Like, what's going on? You're 13. It's a big deal. And he was like, it's fine. Yep. Nope. And I'm like, okay, Nick, this ain't personal. This is who he is. Like, it's all right. And the other days, it's let me love on my mom. So I think for me, it's important to have that support system. My best friend is a therapist by trade, and she is oftentimes my shoulder to cry on. Like, she is oftentimes my, like, man, I just don't know what to do. Especially when he was younger, and it was like he was tearing up the house, and like we couldn't take him on vacation. He was tearing up hotel rooms, like just too much change at one time. Just having that support system for me really is helpful, because it reminds me that he is awesome, no matter what position, no matter how he's acting, no matter what's going on, and to try to give him grace. So I think just emotionally, it's always a roller coaster. It's like we have some really good times, and then we have some really not so great times. So like you, Dr. P, like that, then sometimes it is just full tears, because that's all I have left. But I think as he's gotten older, I'm able to just regulate my own emotions in response to some of the things that he does.
No, and that's so fair to say, and I think so many people need to hear that, right? Like, you will have some emotional days, and there will be some days where you absolutely want to give up and quit. And I could tell you, Nikki, there's been some days where I'm like, now what did he learn in occupational therapy? Because now I need to use those same tricks, tools, and strategies to help me, right? In those spaces, you lean on whoever your support system is. You do your best. And then there may be moments, and this is to people who support us, right, where you still will feel like they don't understand, right? And in those moments, it is not a slap in the face to you. It is not disrespect to you. It is just, when you are in it, you feel like, I'm the only person in it. I'm the only person who understands it. I don't know what to do. And sometimes people don't really have the answers, and you don't have them. And so it is very, very difficult. But those emotional challenges, yes, they come in waves. Sometimes it's like, I don't got no words. I just got tears. And I'll just say this. There are moments and times where I've allowed Sincere to see my emotions. I don't shy away from him seeing those, because it has allowed him to be emotional and open with me about his own emotions. And in those moments, there has been times where I didn't think he was paying attention to me, and the kid comes over with rolls of tissue. Hey, you okay? It's gonna be all right. And in those moments, I'm like, but I don't know what's wrong, right? And in those spaces, it made me more vulnerable to say, this is a space where you also get to be open with me, and just like I'm open with you. So thank you so much for sharing that. So that's right. Talk to me about what support systems do you rely on to maintain your own mental health and well-being to get through this journey?
Whew, that's a good question. I just seen my therapist this morning. I talked to my therapist this morning. I'm not gonna lie, just to be vulnerable and upfront and transparent. Whew, try not to get emotional. My son has been to 4 different schools. It has been a long journey. This is 4th school he goes to now. And I kept pushing it off, getting a therapist, kept pushing off to seeing somebody to get anxiety medication. Then I had to diagnose myself and say, you know what? You have really bad anxiety. Like, through the school situations and your personal life, and you need to see somebody. And as of February of this year, I did sign up to get a therapist because my anxiety was to the roof. It was really bad, to the point that I really did have to talk to someone, not someone that knew me, somebody who didn't. And that really has helped me with this journey. And don't get me wrong, I did build my own support system, which has helped me to get through some things. But this was personal. I had to really get a therapist at this point because I had a lot of breakdowns, like y'all stated, and it was to the point that I was just like, it was affecting my work. So I definitely had to get deep into myself and get some professional help.
Thank you so much, and for your vulnerability and sharing that. It has been extremely helpful to also be, I would say, for me, being in therapies with my son as well. Like, that has truly helped me in spaces, but for my own mental health, building a community, knowing that I have a community of support, but also knowing that I have a therapist of my own that understands what I may be going through, or will just literally sit in the session and let me cry. And she'll be like, get it all out. And when you're done, we'll come to some solutions. All right. And that's fine for me. Right. But what I would say has been extremely helpful for me is there are moments like my son had therapy today, sitting in that space with him, right, and understanding. Now, then there's days where I don't go in at all because it's a space for himself, and allowing him that space to have it on his own. But the support systems are important. And I stress this, you cannot do this alone. It will be the hardest journey. You got a partner, lean on your partner. You got a mama, lean on your mama. You got a therapist, lean on your therapist. You got friends. You have people who truly, truly love you and support you. Lean on them. They may not understand it. They may not get it. They may not know exactly what to do and how to do it in that moment. But some days you just need a listening ear. Some days you just need somebody to be silent on the other end of the phone while you weep and cry or cuss and yell and everything else. And in those moments, that is the most helpful for us as mothers. But for those who may feel like they don't have a community, or I don't know how to talk about this, or I don't know what it means to even start the discussion, you need a support system. Even if it's just one person, you need somebody to say, you're going to be all right. It's going to be okay, to get through those moments. Because that one little statement, I promise, it pushes you to the next day. It will make you get up in that moment, get off the kitchen floor, get off the bathroom floor and say, all right, I can do this. Cool, I got it. So please don't shun away from people. Don't hide this. Find your support systems and lean on them. I'm gonna give this question to you, Nikki. Share with me some practices or routines that really help you stay resilient as a Black mother.
I get a massage every Friday. Don't miss.
Yes. Okay? Listen.
Be clear. Every Friday. Everybody knows, like, nope, mom is gone from this time to this time. I think also letting my kids see me put myself first. I have a lock on my door that has my fingerprint on it in my office. It is not y'all space, it is mommy's space. And you are welcome in mommy's space when the door is open, full stop. Like, it's not negotiable. So I think carving out those things that are just for me. I get up every morning, I drink some sister tea. I sit, I read my word. I read this affirmation book. It's a for Black women who do it all. It's this affirmation book that I read every morning. It just pour into myself. I spend time with my girlfriends. I travel. I try my best to just make sure that my kids see me being the best version of myself by taking care of myself. So those are things that I just, and therapy. I don't miss therapy.
Listen,
After my massage, 1 o'clock every Friday, me and her sitting and having conversations. So
I hear that. I think that's so important. Now, Nikki, you got a keypad to the office that got your fingerprint. I'm gonna need you to send me the link to that.
I sure will. When it came to the house, I had the handyman here, and my husband was like, "Are you for real?" I was like, "I am dead. Can I say that on here? I am dead ass. This is just for me. Dead ass." There's an emergency little thing that's in the kitchen that is for emergencies only. If I'm in here and you ain't heard from me in a couple of days, come in here and make sure I'm good. But my fingerprint is the only one that is on that lock because this is my space.
So much. That is, and I say that because sometimes we forget that we have to like set a clear boundary sometimes for us to be able to take care of ourselves. Because in those moments that is hard, right? Like it's hard. It's like, okay, the compassion fatigue place is difficult to sit in. Like that's hard because you get so burnt out and so overwhelmed that you just kind of stuck and you're like, then what am I supposed to do for myself? Because if I start doing stuff for myself, I feel bad. Because if I go out, I can tell you right now, I stopped. I was like, maybe I shouldn't travel as much. Traveling was like my thing. I'm like, I'm gonna go out of town. I'm gonna get away. And me and my partner literally used to go like on every other month. It was a weekend trip, 2-3 days just to get it together. And every time, I kid you not, every time I would go, school call, mama call, somebody calling me. And I'm like, maybe I shouldn't go nowhere. And then I was like, no, you got to go somewhere because you got to set that clear boundary. You cannot not have a life or learn to enjoy spaces like this. Your joy just can't be like, oh, just swiped away every single time there's a situation or the school call, right? So I love that, but that fingerprint, I love that. I love that for you. I absolutely do. Cesare, same question for you.
Well, I had to go get me a nanny. I done had my nanny for 5 years. Shout out to Elizabeth. She's watching. Thank you, baby. Thank you, baby. Yeah, I got me a nanny. So when I need me some me time with my girls, because let me just put that out there because they on the live. Yeah, me and my girls from the best sorority ever, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Yeah. But yeah, we go out. We just have a good time. Now, honestly,
don't start no
I'm
beef.
just saying. I'm just saying. I don't want nothing. I don't want no problems. Just want to throw it out there. But no, I just spent time with my homegirls, to be honest. And I honestly just got a membership 2 months ago to do a massage because I was trying to find myself again after I had my baby. I was getting my hair, my nails done before I had my baby, but I'm learning like, yeah, I do that. I need something else. I need my grown woman stuff. So let me figure out another thing to do. So I started doing a little yoga, a little exercising. But to be honest, it's mostly in my me time. I take a walk around the block. I mean, I'm okay with being alone in a different environment. I will go to the bar by myself. I take myself out to dinner. That's my me time. And I honestly love me time more than any time. So that's the things that I do.
No, that's that. Now, outside of your shameless plug for Delta Sigma Theta, because I'm a Zeta. And we doing all love here. I ain't gonna do nothing. I ain't gonna say nothing about it. I'm gonna just let it be, in this moment, on this lovely podcast. But no, I agree. Those now I don't have no nanny, but I'm, I got to look into that too. Y'all got some stuff I need to be looking into them. The keypad that only got my fingerprint, a nanny. Go ahead. See, now Elizabeth is your nanny.
That's my nanny. That's the nanny.
And she is on the right side. Okay, I just want you to know that. Thank you so much, Elizabeth and Joy. All these folk on here, Z Fine Down. I appreciate it. So what I will say is the importance behind like what keeps you going is important. Like in finding those spaces that you thrive in. That is what gives you literally that second win, so you can go back and do the best that you can or be the best for your child. Because if you don't pour back into you, or if you don't have a community that pours back into you, you just keep showing up as your empty self, right? And trying to figure things out are so difficult alone, right? But if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't have spaces where you're pouring back into you, me and the Lord, literally back here is my prayer corner. I will sit here, I will journal, I will write, I will pray. And if I'm sitting there for hours until he tell me to get up, that's where I'm stuck at, but that helps me. That has pushed me. Prayer has pushed me. The word of God has pushed me. And I'm literally right now in the middle of a fast because I said, you know what, God, I'm struggling. I think one of you all talked about it earlier where, it's like, it's so many big transitions that's happening. We changed new schools. I've also had my little one has gone to 4 different schools, right? And in those 4 different schools, I feel like I finally got one that works and that is best, right, for him. And that feels good, but it's a big transition. We went to his IEP meeting when we first started the school. They told me, he was like, I didn't sign up for this. And that's so fair to say, right? Because he didn't. He did not. He didn't sign up for it, right? I signed him up for it. But in those spaces, he's able to express himself. People are understanding him differently. He's a neurodivergent learner. If he got to stand up and read, let him stand up and read. If he got to run if he got to do the little poppets to get his math, he learns different, right? So that was helpful to be like, and on top of that, we moved into a new house and in a new neighborhood, a big transition. And then I took him off one team and put him in it. And so I was stuck and I'm like, all of this I know is good for him, but did I do too much, too fast, too soon? Should I have slowed down? And in those spaces, I had to take a step back and do exactly what you said, Nikki. I said, my kid is resilient. He's shown me that he's been resilient in so many spaces. But then I also have to take in consideration, if he is at school and he has a meltdown, it's probably because it's something that is going on because of all of these different transitions, right? In these different spaces. And I had to realize and recognize that some of these things will show up for our children, but if we don't show up for ourselves, we don't know how to be present for them. We don't know what to do. And in this season, I didn't know what to do. And so I said, okay, God, you're going to show me. And so literally I started a fast and I said, I'm going to do a 21-day fast. And that has kept me resilient. I pray for him around the clock 3 times while I know he is in school. I'm praying on my face and I'm saying, if I'm in the middle of a meeting and my alarm go off to pray, excuse me, and I got to, you know what I'm saying? And so that has pushed me. That has kept me resilient to know that if I keep doing, and I see it working, it's working, right? And so, and choices, given sincere choices has been probably the best thing that I could have found out for me that helps me stay calm too. Because then I'm not like, no, do what I say because I say do it. I'm going to give you a choice because you still have a choice. I don't care how old you are. You have a choice. And given those choices was something that kept me calm. And I'm like, hey, you let me know what you choose. You choose this, cool. All right, that's the way we're going. And if you don't, all right, then you know the end result to that. You may lose out on a privilege. Maybe you can't go outside and ride a bike. If you do this, maybe this won't happen. And learning one of the biggest things that my partner had to tell me, don't take everything away. Don't take it all away. Because you be mad and upset and frustrated. Don't watch TV. Don't ride the bike. Don't do this. Don't go outside. And you're like, don't take it all away. Because you still want him to feel like he can thrive in some spaces. And so there are some things in this fast, I kid you not, I'm still learning. I am literally still learning. And it has been helpful to be like, stay calm, girl. But my prayer has been, stop trying to change sincere. Change your posture towards sincere. That is, I kid you not, that's my prayer every day since I've been fasting. Stop trying to change him. He is who he is. Change your posture in how you see him, how you view him, how you love him, how you accept him, how you show up for him, how you hear him, all of those things. And the practice of doing that has really, really helped me. So that is what has kept me resilient. And I hope that helps people. And if, you don't believe in the good Lord Jesus, I'm sorry, but that is this my podcast and I believe in him. So that's what's been helping me is fasting. So changing my posture and praying to God about how do I see my son differently has really, truly helped me. We have a few more questions that I want to ask, and then we're going to open it up for the floor for you all to ask questions for us. I saw a few come in, so I'm going to scroll back up to also take some of those questions. Nikki, how important is community support in your journey? And let me ask you this, not just like friends and family, but when it comes to education community, therapeutic communities, how has that been supportive to you and impacted your experience with raising your son?
We just moved back from Georgia, back to Chicago, and in Georgia, it was horrible. Just not having the right people in place and having to fight for everything at his school to get him the occupational therapy he needed, to get his IEP, to get teachers to follow the IEP. My husband used to just sit in the parking lot outside because, like you, the school would call us every day. It was something every day. So my husband's like, I'm just going to sit outside. So I think the importance of having a strong community and the schools, now they know us. They know we don't play about him. They know that we will be there and we will advocate for him. They understand the importance that our family has, my friends, has my mama, and has all of these people are going to come to bat for that boy. Don't play about him. His big sister is going to come up there. Do not play about him. His teachers a teacher quit because of how my son was beat up on the school bus. He was attacked on the school bus. And the school did not want us to know. The teacher called us personally and told us on her personal cell phone, and she didn't like the way they handled it, so she quit. So just having that supportive community around him. His therapist is amazing. He just started at a new ABA therapy place, and she absolutely adores him. She pours into him, and I think that you have to have those wraparound supports. It can't just come from you. It's impossible. Trying to do this by yourself is the worst thing you can ever do. It is nothing to be ashamed of. Having that supportive community, go to the school, make them do their jobs, make them follow the IEP. I request a meeting every year, not with one teacher. I want all of them. We're going to all sit in the same room. We're going to hear the same message together. It embarrasses my son to no end because he's in 8th grade. I don't care. I want all the teachers at the table. We're not going to do an IEP meeting with this one teacher y'all selected. I need everybody. Let's have a conversation. We're all on the same page. Being late for class made my son nervous, and it just exacerbated his symptoms. So they took away him being late for school, late for class. So if he needs extra time, go ahead, have your extra time. So just having that supportive community is super, super important. I cannot stress that enough. Like, make these schools do their job. You are not on their nerves. And if you are, so what? That is what you are being paid to do. As a former teacher, make these people do their jobs. Like, there is no excuse for some of the things that happen in schools these days. It's just no excuse for it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for even that advocacy point, Nikki, because some parents are so afraid of IEPs, the 504 plans, and making sure that you have them. But I stress this here, with them and having that document, that will travel with your kid is the biggest advocacy that you can do, because you get to say, this paper says this, and this is what I want to happen, and this is what I know needs to happen. And we get to discuss, right? But they don't get to deny kids services. They don't get to deny supports. They don't, because, and some of you may have to fight to get it. But whatever you got to do, if you know that it is something different, if you know that they need extra care, extra services, extra support, you do what you need to do to get those services in place, because there are so many schools that will just bypass and will skip over what they see is wrong or what they see may be different or difficult, and they'll just let it be. And you'll start to see your child develop more things because nobody's paying attention to it. So advocate, advocate, advocate. And even when you get into those spaces, my sorority sisters, my line sisters right now is on here. She told me, when you go in there, you tell them to open up another domain. If you want something to happen, do this, have them do that. Have people who you know about IEPs, know about 504 plans, know about these services, and have them. You can bring whoever you want to your IEP meeting. My son's therapist, my partner, anybody who, come on in, because you want to make sure that you have the full support that you need. And also exactly what you said, Nikki, every single teacher that he touched, I want the social worker, the OT, the speech therapist, the diverse learner teacher, the main home teacher, if the principal, all y'all come in here. So, because here's the thing, if I have all of you all on the same page, anytime you come in contact with my child, we all should know what to do and how to respond and how to show up. And in those spaces, that's important, because if one teacher knows how to respond and they like, hey, you transition to another school, to another class, that teacher gonna know how to do the same exact thing. We should not be doing different things, because it sends the wrong message to the child. And that's not something that you want. So please, please, thank you, Dee. On down to the lunchroom lady. Hello, anybody that comes in contact with my child, I want you present in that meeting. And in that meeting, and I think, Nikki, you and I talked about this when we talked. Advocate for your child. You are their best advocate. You are their best voice. If you know that there's some off that a teacher is saying, that an educator is saying, and you're like, no, that don't work, and you know something that works, say it in that space. You have to, because if you don't, they'll start coming up with stuff that don't work. You're like, no, I know it doesn't work. Or they'll start saying things that may impact or affect your child later on down the line. The nurse called me today, and as soon as I saw the school pop up, I said, oh, Lord. And as soon as I got, she said, Dr. P, nothing is wrong. I just want you to know that up front. So, because they know I'm going to show up, or I'm going to say, put them on the phone. They have to know that you care. They have to know that you're going to show up for your kids and who you are. And I'm going to advocate for them. No matter where I'm at, what I'm doing, I will stop an entire meeting to make sure you hear whatever it is that needs to happen with my child. So please advocate for IEPs and 504 plans. Don't let it scare you. I know sometimes a lot of parents get afraid. Don't let it scare you. Those things are put into place legally to support your children, and to support yourself when your kids are showing up in spaces and they need the extra support. Don't take that away from yourself, and don't take it away from your child. Last question.
Can I add one thing?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Nikki.
Also, as your children get older, and even at this young age, let them know what's in their IEP. And teach them how to advocate for themselves. So if they are in the classroom when you are not there and they are not getting what is in their IEP, teach your children what they get and how to advocate for themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the thing too. One thing that I've learned about Sincere is that he'll come home and tell me the things that they are teaching him. And if I see it working, I'm going to mimic the same exact thing. If I see it not working, I'm going to tell them that don't work. If he is overstimulated, he is dysregulated, don't isolate him. It doesn't work for him. They may think it happened a few times, so don't do it. I'm telling you, it doesn't work. The moment they stop doing it, they say, oh, we found a different way. Perfect. Because that's not going to work for him, because then he'll find anything to get out your classroom. Let's not do it. So please, please, please share. And if you got to, I will pull Sincere in so quick with a teacher so he know we all on the same page. Everybody in here got the same program, and I want you to get a program too. So please don't exclude them. Thank you so much for sharing that, Nikki. Cesare, what message, and really I want both of you all to respond to this. What message would you like to share with other Black mothers facing the same similar challenges, or Black fathers or parents just in general? What would you share with them? What do you want them to leave with today?
Be open to your situation. Like, don't hide it. The first thing that I did when I found out, I went to social media and everybody told me, why did you do that? And you know what's crazy? I felt my support through social media when I was vulnerable. When I was at my most vulnerable time, they helped me. The people who commented under my social media, they helped me find resources. They helped me find an ABA therapist. They got him to intervention programs, and some old coworkers that I used to work with. She was like, yeah, I work here. I can get him in by tomorrow type thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. So I'm just be open to people, be vulnerable to people. It's okay. And this stigma thing that everybody got, like, let's just get that out. Like, let's just start fresh. This is a new generation. Half of the school got IEPs now. Okay. Half of the school got something going on. Let's wash that stigma away and just focus on a new generation that we have today. Everybody may have something going on. Don't treat everybody differently. Let's be at the platform as everybody has superpowers nowadays. Let's keep it like that. So as a parent that's still going through the motion, like I said, my son's only 6. I'm still learning and growing. However, let's be open and honest and vulnerable, and let's treat each kid the same and not different.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Cesare. Nikki, what message would you like to share with other Black mothers facing some of the same similar challenges?
It gets better.
Mm-hmm.
The more you learn and the more you know, it gets better. Just speaking from experience, it was really rough when my son was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I think as he got older and he got more language and we learned more how to, like you said, like Dr. B, this don't work for him. This works. This does not work. It gets better. The challenges might change as they get older, but your ability to be resilient and to handle the situation alongside your child, because there's nothing happening to your child. These things are happening. You are alongside. Y'all are going on this journey together. Everybody got an oar in this boat. We out here rowing together, trying to figure it out. And when they can't row, you got to step in and row. And sometimes they can't. You got to take turns out there. And I would just say that it gets better. And like Cesare said, trust your gut. If you know that something is off or something is wrong or something just isn't right and your child is just a little different or doing something that you're like, I don't know, forget what everybody else says. Like you said, ignore the noise and trust your gut. Get your son or daughter tested and then find your support system. Those would be my 3.
Thank you so much, Nikki. Thank you so much, Cesare. This conversation has been so impactful and so powerful. The level of vulnerability that you all have shared just in this space, I know has helped people that has been on tonight. I want to leave a space for questions. If there are anyone who is on this lab tonight that has any questions that any one of us could answer, I would love for you all to share those questions in the chat. And I think that it would be extremely helpful if, one of us or all of us could respond to that, to those questions. So this is a space we'll leave about 10 minutes for us to answer any questions for folks to have. And because, like I stated, it's my podcast and I like Me and Jesus, we like this. I will cover mothers and parents before we close out. For those who may be struggling, those who may be in a space where they're trying to still figure out what does it look like to parent, right? That's me. So I'll be even praying for myself, right? Of what does it look like to navigate this world or this life with the child who has their own superpowers. So throw questions in the chat. And if you have any thoughts or comments, thank you all so much for commenting and sharing your own experiences in the chat, and just being able to add to this conversation. It has been extremely helpful. And so I want to take some questions at this point now. So we got one from Coop. I'll put it up here. Were there early signs, or was it a development over time? Nikki and Cesare, you all could both respond to that.
Well, I want to say something because I wanted to say something early about it. So with my son, I believe that it was a death that triggered it. As he was, I think it was like 15 months when a loved one was watching him a lot. And all of a sudden, it was a tragic death, and it was unexpectedly. Throughout the week or two, he was saying little words, and then after the person passed away, he just stopped for like 4 years. 4 years, he just stopped everything. And I stated before, I was vulnerable on social media, and I was asking for help. Like, do anybody, know what's going on? Like, even though I'm a clinician, but at that time, like I said, I was going through denial. I was going through the 7 stages. I was grieving. I just didn't want to ignore the signs that I actually was seeing. And within some weeks, he just stopped potty and training. He stopped talking. He just was not himself. And that's when I took upon myself to go to early intervention. And he started talking full sentence at the age of 4. And then I got a genetics test last year, and it was a strand from his father's side. But I think it was triggered.
Thank you so much for sharing. Nikki?
For my son, from the time he got here, we called him irritated, but we didn't know what it was. He was just demanded milk quickly. Like we would put pants on him or clothes on him as a baby, and he would just cry, 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 cry. We didn't understand that it was a sensory issue. We would put pants on him. We would come back. He would take his pants off. He was super, super smart. He picked up things really quick. He read easy. You tell him a sentence, he would repeat it back to you. He would cry for hours on end, and it was just, come to find out, it was sensory. It was the things around him. So for us, it was just trying to understand, like, what is it that is making you so irritated all the time? It wasn't until he was diagnosed and they explained to us what sensory processing disorder is that I just broke down crying. I'm like, oh my God, you've been experiencing this and I've been yelling at you, like, shut up. Like, what is going on? And you are literally just feeling things and hearing things that I don't even recognize. So for us, it was always there. We just didn't know what it was.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Cool. For me, it was, I started seeing some early signs, probably like around 2. And like I said earlier on, it was like, oh, he's just a boy. Like, but I mean, you couldn't get this kid to sit down for nothing. I mean, I tried. I was like, oh my goodness. But really, I started to notice in school, in spaces where he struggled, and he couldn't sit down in classroom times. He couldn't focus in like the morning meetings, and it was just really hard. And a kid that struggles with focusing, it then plays into their confidence if they see other kids can do something and they can't. And so then it led into behaviors. And so those behaviors started to trigger other things for him. And so we tried everything: elastic bands around the chairs, getting a special seating that he can rock in, anything you could think of. We tried it. And then I said, listen, I don't know what to do. And so I had a conversation with his pediatrician. But this was something that I saw early signs at an early age. And I stepped right in to try to figure it out. And yeah, you do go through that denial. Like, no, this is not it. Because you don't desire, because you don't know what the world would do and how they would show up for your kid. So it's kind of hard to address it. but that was something that I experienced. Thank you so much for your question. Next question: given the ages of your children or your child, do they understand their disability? Let's start with you, Nikki.
Yep, my son fully understands his disability. It's even times when I'll be like, hey, your autism is showing. Go somewhere and have a seat. Like, go upstairs and regulate yourself. Our household, like, we just crack a lot of jokes around here. But he is fully aware of it. He is proud of it. He is not ashamed of it at all. He used to own a clothing line that was for kids who were just like him, who had sensory processing disorder. He launched it. He was in the newspaper. I was like, Bud, before they release this is going to every child's house in your school. Are you okay with that? He was like, yeah, I don't care. And kids would say stuff to him like, you got autism? He was like, yeah, and he does not care. So he fully understands what it is. He knows how to navigate it. And he just doesn't care. He's just that quirky kid. He could care less.
Nikki, I think this question is for you. How old is your son?
He is 13 years old, going on 65.
It's a little old man.
He is somebody's old man.
Cesare, question for you. Does your son understand his disability?
I don't think he does, to be honest. He's 6. He just turned 6 this year. And to be honest, I don't talk about it to him. That's not a thing because honestly, I meet him what he is. You know, like I say, my house is always vibrant. It's always fun. I don't look at him differently. I don't talk to him differently. So it's kind of like, to be honest, he's just a regular kid to me. And we talk and have conversations, don't get me wrong, but our house is so vibrant. If he's doing something out of the ordinary, it's probably not out of the ordinary for us because we are probably doing it. People that's common that knows me and my sister, we dance all day. We laugh, crack jokes all day. And we're raising little minions like us. So to be honest, I really don't talk about his disability because to me, I'm like, hey, I might have a disability. I don't know. But guess what? We all up in here the same together, so I don't talk about it. I just be about it. We just have fun and be us.
Thank you so much for sharing that and for adding the laughter piece to it because, listen, you got to put the joy in it. And removing that joy, I'm telling you, life will be so dull every day. But Sincere is learning his disability. I don't call it a disability. I call it a superpower. So that is what I'm learning. So he's learning that he's different, right? He's learning that he learns different, that he understands things differently. And the same way that I teach him, hey, you look different. Your skin color is different from other people, is the same way that I teach him that he's different from other folks doesn't make him, it shouldn't, cause him to lack confidence or anything. He should believe in himself, all of these different things. But I do my best. And this is something that I've always strived to do when it comes to Sincere is I teach him above his disability. And I said, what I don't want is for people to see that first. You know what I'm saying? I want them to see the things that you show up as every single day. You're a great builder when it comes to Legos. The kid will take magnet tiles and build mansions out of them. And I'm like, you're brilliant, right? And so I want people to see those things. So I teach him about his superpower and not necessarily his disability, because a lot of people, of course, they go bullying, they do all of these different things. And so that has been the space that I have continued to keep him in and in that space. And he's probably right now knocking on my door. I can just tell you that, right? But yes, thank you so much for that question. And that space has been really helpful in teaching and learning. We'll take 2 more questions and then we'll try to close us out. All righty. What steps did you take to have your child evaluated? Let's start with you, Cesare. What steps did you take?
He had early intervention for 2 years, and they had provided him to get evaluated by University of Chicago. So after that, when he was evaluated, we started service immediately after that. As stated before, how I got into the early intervention that quick, because it's usually a year or 2 wait, because I knew someone that helped me get in. And that's how it moved really rapidly. The day that I put it on social media, the next month he was in early intervention. 2 years later, he got evaluated, and that went from there.
Thank you for sharing. Nikki?
We went through, it's a program in Georgia where it's called Atypical Peers, and it's where they put children with special needs in the classroom with other kids, and they just treat everybody the same, which was really cool. The teacher, being a teacher, I kind of had an inside. So like I had somebody who kind of knew, talking to as a teacher, I just kind of walked over to the special ed office and I was like, what do I need to do to get my son evaluated? And because he does not have what they consider typical markers for autism, like he's super smart, he speaks really well, like all the things that are on the IEP form, they showed me how to get him qualified under OHI. And we went to an independent psychiatrist, got the diagnosis, took it back to the school, and we were like, write it, make it happen.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. My journey was hard. It was really difficult. I didn't know how to really navigate it. And honestly, my godmother, she was having something at her house, and I remember going, and this lady was standing outside, and my mom introduced her and started talking. And so somehow it came up that she worked for the Office of Diverse Learners here in Chicago. And I was like, oh my God, I need that information. And she was like, yeah, services, X, Y, Z. And she started telling me all about it. It was in the thick of, it was literally right after COVID. So people were still trying to navigate virtual life and all of this. And some of the services to be able to get, I had to take him in. There was a fear of that because also my son has asthma. So, I was like, I don't know, he's also from that, kind of has that protected group too, taking him into these spaces and trying to learn what's happening. But this office, we literally was able to go through this space, but it took forever to navigate it. We did like the hearing test and the eye test, and if you knew how to draw circles and lines, and then we had to sit through a virtual, him and I, 2.5 hours of him being assessed at home. And it was so hard because there were moments where he couldn't understand what they were asking him because it was through this virtual kind of space. And, it would be hard for him to understand what they were saying. And he would get frustrated. And then we would have to take a break. And then we would have to come back. And then once we got through it, I remember bawling to the team and saying, thank you all so much for, sitting with me and him doing this. They eventually gave him an IEP, but it took almost 6 months to a year to really push the services that he actually needed. They wouldn't give him all of the services at first. They shipped him off to a school that was not good for him. He was going there half a day, then going to another school a half a day. It was chaotic for us. And then we went to a school that didn't have any services, yet he had an IEP. It has been a journey. And so we finally, and then even finding schools and spaces that were helpful for him. I think that a Montessori school approach was helpful at one point in time for him, and then it didn't work for him. He needed a little bit more structure, but his IEP had to change, his spaces had to change. And that was like always a struggle. But my first steps were like, it was like pulling teeth. It was like getting people to like get on the call with me and to send me the documents because nobody's meeting in person. And it was a tough journey for me to try to get him evaluated. Thank you so much for that question, Faith. Let's take another question and then we will wrap up. So I think we answered some of this, but I think it's helpful if we can add a little bit more. When kids grow up with disabilities, how do you tell them about it? Nikki, I would like for you to add a little bit more there. And you said, I know they mentioned telling them that they have superpowers, but do parents tell them they have it to help them understand better?
Yes, we told him straight out that he has something called sensory processing disorder. Of course, I don't remember what child-friendly language we used back then, but we just let him know that this is why, because my son is super empathetic and he felt bad after the episodes. So we would talk to him about, this is why this is happening. It's too loud. Do you feel that it is too loud? Do you feel like it is too, whatever it is? And the same thing with just certain foods he would only eat. He had like 5 things. And I was like, this is why this is happening. Your brain sees this. This is too loud. This is this. So we just kind of explained things to him in those terms so that he can understand that he wasn't bad, because that is what was being communicated to him in some of the spaces. Like, you're just bad. You're just bad. And he was just like, I'm a horrible person. And we were like, no, you're actually an amazing little dude. And this is just, your brain just looks at the world differently. So I think just explaining it to them in language that is age appropriate is how we explained it to him. And as he got older, we added, this is called autism. This is what it looks like. I bought him magazines on autism so that he can read it for himself and really understand what's happening, and he can ask questions. He goes to therapy. We talk together. He asks questions. He, gets all those things. So I definitely think it helped him to understand himself and being able to navigate spaces differently.
Thank you for sharing that, Nikki. Yeah, I think right is age appropriate. Right? What is age appropriate for your child? Right? Superpowers work for Sincere right now. He's 7. So he's not, in some big words, he'll be like, what does that mean? And even when I try to explain it, he's like, you're confusing me. And I just let it go. Because if you confuse, I won't confuse you no more than what you already could. Because then I'm going to start confusing myself. So I just let it be. But it has to be, I said this early on, you got to meet them exactly where they're at. Right. So if they dancing and we dancing, cool, I'm dancing. This is how we get our energy out. This how, and meeting them where they're at means talking a language that they understand, because they got to understand it. And to have a voice for themselves, to advocate for themselves, they have to understand it. Right. But it has to also be age appropriate. Right. So today it's a superpower. Probably at 13, he'll fully understand, right, that he has ADHD, and this is what happens with ADHD. We didn't really dive into this a lot on this call, but medication is a huge topic of conversations that sometimes is often left out. And that topic of discussion is often left out because people are afraid of it. They're timid of using it. They don't know what the outcomes will be. And it is scary, right? I am a person who is in mental health, and talking about medication scared me. I didn't want to talk about it. But I did a disservice to my son by not putting him on it. And some things developed over time because I was stuck on me and what I thought and what I didn't want people to believe. And I tried holistic approaches, and I tried all type of things and vitamins, and he was still having a hard time. And I remember the first day that I put him on a stimulant medication, the way that he described it for himself and the way that teachers started to see him, that's how I wanted him to be viewed. Because I know this loving, bright, bubbly, funny, joking kid. But if I'm in a class where I feel like I'm competing and I can't focus, or people think that I'm bad, or I'm running away from classrooms, or I can't handle this assignment the way the next kid is handling it, it's hard. Some kids may need it, and you have to understand if your child needs it or if they don't. And that is the space that I was in. I knew that he needed, because the moment that I gave him, it was like everything for him, even his conversations changed, how he understood things changed. And I said, I was neglecting my own kid from something that I knew he needed. So do your research, of course, do as much reading as you need to, and get into spaces where people will educate you and that you will educate yourself. But when it comes to that, I really do urge people to understand if your child needs it, it's okay. It's okay, right? And if you are afraid, trust me, I was there. I had the medication sitting on my nightstand and refused to give it to him. And I was watching him struggle in class every day until I was like, okay, I had to fast, I had to pray. And I just said, here we go. And the moment that I saw it work, it was a blessing to him. It was a blessing to me. It was a blessing to his teachers. So, in those spaces. But that's a whole topic of discussion that some people, they get uncomfortable around. But medication and psychotropic medications are, it's a real thing when children do have disabilities that you do have to take into consideration, and you have to think about as well. Those are all of the questions that I have seen in the chat that people have asked. And I just want to personally thank everybody who has shown up tonight on this live, who have provided resources, or they've talked about their own experiences. They've asked questions. Thank you all so much. It's such an powerful, very, very powerful topic, but also a very scary topic to talk about if you are a mom with children with disabilities. So thank you, Cesare and Nikki, for your vulnerability tonight, for your openness tonight, and for your willingness to show up for other mothers and show up for other parents who may be struggling, who may not know what to say, and how to say those things. Tonight, I believe that so many people have gotten their second wind, and that they have been able to get a little bit more wind beneath their wings to be able to keep pushing. So thank you all for joining me in this conversation. I have not forgotten. I said I was going to pray, and I still want to do that. After that, we will end the live. But I want to personally say thank you all so much for showing up and sharing. So, God, we thank you for this space. We thank you for this opportunity. We thank you that you allow three women to come together and to share with your people. We thank you that you allowed us to be vulnerable, to be open, to be honest. And God, we thank you that you allowed us as willing vessels to speak to your people on tonight. Now, God, we hope that if there's any mother, if there's any father, any aunt, any grandmother, any cousin, anybody who is a support system or caring or being a caregiver to a child with disability, that you would sit beside them on tonight, that you would show up with them in the hard moments, in the tough moments, in the tears, in the moments where they want to give up. God, we ask that you would give them an extra push, that you would wrap your arms around them, that you would secure them in moments that they feel that they aren't safe, Lord God. And we ask that you would give them whatever that they may need to be able to push forward, to do whatever they may need for their children, God. And God, we ask that you would give them not just a second wind, but a third wind. And every time they need fresh wind, God, that you would give it to them, blow back into them, breathe life back into those moments. Now, God, touch every child that may be in the presence of their parents or their mother, Lord God. We ask that you would cover the children, Lord God, as they may be learning their disabilities and understanding what it means to have these disabilities. God, give them what they need to be able to advocate for themselves, to be able to talk for themselves and speak up for themselves, and to be able to understand their differences in many spaces. God, I thank you for their presence. I thank you for the many things that they will do in this world. And God, I ask for the three sons that we have spoken about tonight, you put a special blessing on them, God. I ask that you would push and thrust them into their journey of life, and that you would show them exactly who they are through you. As your blood runs through them, God, we ask that you would continue to protect them and guide them. And God, on tonight, I ask that you continue to bless this podcast, bless everyone that showed up, Lord God, and allow everyone to have a good night. We thank you, we honor you, and we praise you. It's in Jesus' mighty name we do pray. Amen and amen. Thank you all so very much for tonight. Thank you, Cesare and Nikki, once again. And thank you all so much for showing up for tonight on the Grit Podcast. So once again, your very own Dr. P. I appreciate you all. You all have a great night.